Welcome back to yet another discussion on some of the most important history topics that could find their way to your 2024 prelims examination. This video discusses a crucial topic related to the person you're seeing on screen. You might be wondering who this king is. He's none other than King Mihir Bhoj, who was an early medieval Indian ruler. First, let's dive into the reason behind the issue on hand by looking at the headlines. Row between Rajputs, Gurjars within Haryana BJP. What history says about the caste of King Mihir Bhoj. The controversy around the lineage of Mihir Bhoj has surfaced earlier too in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, with both Gurjars and Rajputs claiming he belonged to their community. So I shall take this moment to explain to you what this controversy is all about. So in July of 2023, 35 local leaders from the BJP in Kaital, Haryana, offered to resign in protest after the 9th century king Mihir Bhoj was referred to as Gurjar Pratihar Samrat Mihir Bhoj during the unveiling of his statue. The Rajput community leaders were unhappy with the title and they believed he should have been called a Hindu Samrat instead. So this controversy over Mihir Bhoj's lineage has been seen before in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, with both Gurjars and Rajputs claiming association with it. The matter is currently pending before the Punjab and Haryana High Court. And subsequently, on October 18th of 2023, nearly 15,000 members of the Rajput community held a rally in Kaital. For what they held this rally? For expressing their dissatisfaction with the BJP-led government over the ongoing dispute. For this issue, they went on to the extent of opposing the BJP in the 2024 elections. So this is the controversy, okay? This is the backdrop of the issue surrounding Mihir Bhoj. Now, you must be wondering why there is so much of traction for Mihir Bhoj all of a sudden. I think it will be prudent for me to explain who he is in the first place. So, if you see, this Mihir Bhoj ruled in the 9th century CE. He was one of the most prominent rulers in the 9th century CE India. He ruled from around 836 CE to 885 CE. So during this period, the Gurjara Pratiharas were a powerful dynasty. They held control over a vast empire and the extent of their empire stretched from Kashmir to Gujarat. So you can see the vast extent of the Gurjar Pratihara empire during the rule of Mihir Bhoj. So Mihir Bhoj basically expanded his empire by successfully conquering regions in the Deccan and Malwa. So this further enhanced the influence of the Gurjara Pratiharas. The major political struggle of the time revolved around the control of Kannauj. So Kannauj is in modern day UP. So Kannauj back then was strategically and economically significant region, and it was situated in the fertile footplains of the Ganges River, and it was a well-connected city along various trade routes. Okay, so the struggle resulted in a three-way fight involving the Gurjara Pratiharas, the Rashtrakutas of the Deccan, and the Palas of Bengal. So during that time, Mihir Bhoj emerged as the most successful ruler in this tripartite struggle for Kannauj. So he expanded his territories by conquering areas in Gujarat and Malwa from the Rashtrakutas. Additionally, Mihir Bhoj launched a successful campaign towards Bengal, conquering territories of Gorakhpur from the Palas of Bengal. So now let us try to identify about his lineage. Okay, first let's try to identify why this hue and cry about his lineage. So the Gurjara Pratiharas, the ruling dynasty to which Mihir Bhoja belonged, are often considered to have connections to both the Rajput and the Gurjar communities. Okay, the Gurjara Pratiharas are often considered to have connections to both the Rajput as well as the Gurjar communities. So Gurjars were a nomadic tribe in ancient India. Okay, initially inhabiting regions in Rajasthan and Gujarat. So it's believed that Mihir Bhoj hailed from the Gurjar tribe and had connections to their lineage. However, Mihir Bhoj, like many rulers of the ancient and medieval period, claimed Kshatriya or warrior status for himself. Okay, so this practice of claiming higher caste status was not uncommon during that era. It was pretty common. Additionally, the Pratihara branch of the Gurjara Pratihara dynasty had associations with the Rajputs, a martial community in medieval India. Okay, so it was because of this reason that Mihir Bhoj's lineage is a subject of contention till today. Okay, while he is believed to have belonged to the Gurjar tribe, he also claimed Kshatriya lineage and had connections with the Rajput. Hence the fight between both these groups. Okay, there are certain other points that you're supposed to keep in mind with regard to the Gurjara Pratiharas. Okay, so if you see, there is a travelogue written by Arab traveler Sulaiman. Okay, so in that travelogue, so this is Sulaiman. So this person has written a travelogue where he mentions Mihirboj as Jujra, Jujra. Okay, Jujra refers to Gurjar. So we get an information about his origin. Okay, and the Sulaiman has also praised Mihirboj's military power and wealth. So he indicated that he was a very influential ruler during that time. Add to that the Gwalior Prashasti. Okay, I have not put the exact picture here, but there is this Gwalior Prashasti inscription, which also highlights the achievements of Mihirboj. Okay, and if you see, there were several contemporaries of Mihirboja. Okay, there were several contemporaries of Mihirboja. So, contemporaries in the sense there were other powerful rulers as well. So, the Rashtrakuta king Amogavarsha, okay, and the Pala ruler Devapala were among the contemporaries of Mihirboja. Okay, Devapala was ruling over this region, and Amogavarsha was ruling over the Rashtrakuta kingdom. Okay, they were his contemporaries. Okay, so these kings were ruling over their respective kingdoms and were influential figures during the 8th and 9th centuries. Okay, so when we talk about the Mihirboj, it's very important for us to have an idea about the tripartite struggle as well. So questions can be asked to you about the tripartite struggle. So if you see, the period of the 8th and 9th centuries in India saw a struggle for power among the multiple small kingdoms. So this struggle is referred to as tripartite struggle. So if you see, Harshavardhana died in 646 C. His capital city was Kannauj. Okay, so after the death of Harsha, various small kingdoms emerged which eventually converged into three major powers. These were the three major powers: Gurjara Pratiharas, Palas, and the Rashtrakutas. Okay, so all these three powers were vying for control over North India. So Pratiharas ultimately established their dominance. Okay, the prolonged conflict resulted in military and economic exhaustion for all the three powers. Okay, additionally, the focus on this struggle led to the neglect of the northeast frontier. So the lack of strong central power in the region allowed subsequent invaders to plunder India multiple times in the future. Okay, not the northeast frontier, northwest frontier. Since they were all concentrating on this particular city of Kannauj, because having a control over Kannauj meant having control over entire North India. So since they were concentrating on that, they left over the north. They didn't fortify the northwestern region properly. So this led to multiple invasions in the subsequent centuries. Okay, so tripartite struggle is a very important thing that you're supposed to keep in mind. Also the contemporary dynasties and their rulers. Okay, so I've also given you an Optima card on Mihirboj. So for accessing all the Optima cards, you can contact the number on the bottom of the screen. Okay, so it's now time for us to look at the allied areas to concentrate on. First and foremost, we'll have to look at the origin, from where they originated. The Palas, they originated from the Gauda region of Bengal, okay, in eastern India. So at the same time, the Pratiharas rose from the Mandor area in western India. Mandor is the Avanti Jalore region, okay, and the Deccan area of India came to be dominated by the Rashtrakutas. So you're supposed to keep a track of developments and kingdoms in these regions separately, okay, and we have to look at the important rulers of each of these three dynasties. Okay, so when you talk about important rulers of Gurjara Pratihara dynasty, we'll have to discuss about Nagabhatta the first. He is the founder of the Gurjara Pratihara dynasty. Okay, and Mihirboj is the second most important ruler. We saw about it. And when it comes to the Rashtrakutas, Danti Durga, the founder of Rashtrakuta dynasty, was the one who successfully established this kingdom in present-day Karnataka and Maharashtra. Then you had a ruler named Krishna the First. Krishna the First was also known as Kannara. Okay, K-A-N-N-A-R-A. Okay, so he was another important ruler. And then Amogavarsha, the contemporary of Mihirboj. Okay, so all these rulers of the Rashtrakuta dynasty were known for their patronage of arts, literature, and culture. They made several contributions. Okay, you're supposed to keep track of that. And then coming to Pala dynasty, we have Gopala, the founder of the Pala dynasty. Then there was Dharmapala. Okay, he was a patron of Buddhism. And then Devapala is considered to be one of the most powerful ruler who extended his influence over regions of Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha during his period. Okay, And then another important thing with regard to this topic that you're supposed to be well versed in is about the significance of Kannauj. You're supposed to understand why Kannauj was very significant. First, politically it was important. Okay, it was strategically located at the confluence of important trade routes. Okay, the Uttarapada and Dakshinapada intercepted at this particular city. Okay, so various dynasties and rulers, they were eyeing for a hand over Kannauj. Secondly, uh, Kannauj basically had a symbolic importance. Okay, so Kannauj basically acquired the title of Mahodaya. Okay, due to its prominence. Mahodaya means great rise. So anyone who was able to control Kannauj was considered to be the greatest of all time. Okay, and then it was an economic hub. As it was part of the major trade routes, it was a thriving commercial center. Okay, so various commodities like textiles, spices, precious metals, agricultural produce. So it was a vibrant market economy that prevailed over the region. And then culturally also it was very significant. Okay, it was known for being an intellectual center. It attracted scholars, artists, poets, and musicians. Okay, so that's the symbolic nature of Kannauj. So there was a great literary tradition as well. Okay, so if you see, one can see growth of various literary traditions in Kannauj, especially during the Kavya period. Kavya period is a classical poetry period. So many scholars are said to have emerged from this particular city. Okay, and then art and architecture, artistic excellence, beautiful palaces were there, temples, forts, all these made Kannauj very special. Okay, and it was also a great educational center. Okay, where subjects like philosophy, grammar, law, and literature were taught. Okay, so these are the important things that you'll keep in mind. Then you'll keep in mind about the travelers who have their accounts on the various rulers of that period. For example, I told you about Sulaiman, right? So keep track of the travelers in ancient and medieval India. That will also help you a great deal in answering a few questions. If not directly, at least indirectly. Okay, and then tripartite struggle is another important area that you'll have to look at. Then coming to the most important part from which you can surely expect a question, which is the historical sites. So let me tell you this. You have something called the Somapura Mahavira. Okay, Somapura Mahavihara. So this is in present day Bangladesh. So this was a Buddhist monastery complex that was built by Pala rulers. And then there can be a question on Nalanda University. Nalanda University, renowned center of education. It was an intellectual hub. Okay, and again, you can trace its origins to the Pala kings. And then Odantapuri monastery. Okay, so it's in Bihar. So another area which can be traced to the Pala rulers. Then there are historical sites related to the Gurjara Pratiharas. So Kannauj is a very important site. And then the Bateshwar temples in a place called Morena in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so this particular temple, Bateshwar temple, represents architectural legacy of the Gurjara Pratiharas. Okay, and then you have the Bhimnath temple. Bhimnath temple is in again it's in a place called Besnagar in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so this is a temple which is dedicated to Lord Shiva and it has impressive stone carvings and sculptures. And then coming to the Rashtrakutas, most important sites are the ones that can be attributed to the Rashtrakutas. You have the Ellora caves, okay, located near Aurangabad in Maharashtra. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well. Okay, so these caves represent a fusion of Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain art and architecture. And then you have the Elephanta caves. Okay, so they are on Elephanta Island near Mumbai. Okay, and then you have Kailasanatha temple located in Ellora, stunning example of Rashtrakuta architecture. It's a monolithic temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. So these are the things that you're supposed to keep in mind. Okay, so keep in mind the various historical sites related to these three dynasties. So now it's time for us to look at some model questions as well. Okay, so easy questions only you'll be getting basically. The tripartite struggle for control of northern India took place between which of the following empires? The options they have given us include Rashtrakutas, Pratiharas, Palas. The answer, you know, it's all the above. All these three were basically involved in the conflict. Okay. The next question, two great Buddhist universities of Nalanda and Vikramashila were patronized by who among the following? Was it the Palas, Paramaras, Chandelas, or all the above? So it was patronized by the Palas. Okay. So these kind of questions can be expected in the exam from this topic. Okay. So that's it from our discussion for the day. We run a current affairs session in the weekends as well. So if you want, you can basically join and get benefited for up-to-date knowledge on current developments. So for the Optima cards, also you can basically contact the number that has been given in the bottom of those cards. So for more such videos, like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for listening patiently.